If you're accepting crypto donations right now, whether you're a streamer, a creator, or just running a project, you're probably using a service that takes a cut, holds your funds, and can ban you tomorrow. In this video, I'll show you the features and how to configure self-hosted solutions from Nexis. Nexis Alerts is a self-hosted donation alert system. You run it yourself, it works on multiple blockchains, and it accepts any token on those chains. Every donation goes directly to your wallets. You're the only one with the private keys, and there are no fees taken from your donations. Every feature is documented in detail, so if anything here isn't clear, check the documentation first. The app is constantly being updated, so there might already be more features than what I cover. The docs are always current, and if you still can't find what you need, reach out to our support team. Alright, with that out of the way, before we jump into the configuration, there are a couple of things we need to prepare first. For this demo, we'll use the Tron blockchain on its Shasta test network. That way, we can send real transactions without spending real money. Let's install Tron Link. I already have it installed, so I'll just walk you through the settings we need. First, we have to make sure Tron Link is switched to the test network. Open the settings, enable test networks, and select Shasta testnet. As you can see, I already have some test tokens, but let's request a bit more. In the documentation, you'll find faucet links for all the supported test networks. I just paste my wallet address and request the native Tron coins first, then some test USDT, and as you can see, everything's here. One more thing. Every blockchain in the app connects through a third-party API. For the Tron network, that's Tron Grid. Don't worry about the API key. The free tier easily covers your needs even if you're getting hundreds of donations a day, and signing up takes just a few seconds. I'll log into the site and I already have a key. I created it when I was recording the Nexis Gateway video, so we'll just reuse that one. And with that, we're all set. We can finally jump into the app. Let's switch to Telegram and open the bot I created when installing the app on the server. There's a separate video on the channel dedicated to the full installation of the app. You can watch it if you'd like. Now I'll sign up using the Telegram account ID I specified during installation. After a successful registration, we can see the list of available commands. Let's run the dashboard command to open our management menu. Once we're inside the app, we land directly on the donations route. I'll go through each route step by step, covering both the settings and the functionality as we go. Since we have a built-in donation page, let me open it by entering the main domain I specified when installing the app on the server. I open it in the browser, and we're greeted with a message that the page is disabled. That's expected. We'll leave it as is for now and move on to the global settings. You can change the app's interface language. That one's pretty self-explanatory. You can also set your time zone, and this is an important point. The time zone is used to display your statistics correctly in your local time. Next up is the app's operating mode. Right now, it's set to testnet, which means every chain we enable will run on its own test network. One thing worth pointing out, statistics and donations are filtered based on the current mode. So if you make test donations while in testnet mode and later switch to mainnet, those test donations won't appear in your stats or in the donation list. The only thing shared between the two modes is your wallets. The same wallets work for both testnet and mainnet. Moving on to notifications. Here you can toggle general app notifications, things like errors or warnings, and you can also enable or disable Telegram messages for incoming donations. We'll see this in action a bit later when we make some donations, but it's really convenient to get a notification when you're not actively streaming. Right under that is the donation monitoring window. This is how much time we allow for a donation to be paid after it's created. The trick here is to avoid going too low or too high. If it's too short, the system might miss the donation entirely. If it's too long, you'll burn through requests on your third-party API, which isn't ideal. I'd recommend keeping it between 15 and 30 minutes. I'll leave mine as is for now. Next up is the session lifetime. The moment you open the app, a session timer starts. Once it expires, any action you take, say skipping a donation or pausing the system, won't actually go through until you reopen the app. I'll set this to 8 hours straight away, then reopen the app so the new session uses the updated setting. Moving down the list, we have the backup settings. You can set up automatic backups or create one manually at any time, and in both cases, the backup file is sent directly to you via the Telegram bot. Below that, we have a really important setting: mnemonic phrase generation. First, you can choose the phrase complexity, 12 or 24 words. You can also enable sending the seed phrase to your Telegram bot. In that case, when the system generates a new wallet, the seed phrase won't be stored in the database at all. It'll be sent straight to the bot instead. You can even set a password for the archive that the file comes in. Now, even though the seed phrase isn't stored in plain text in our database, it gets encrypted right after generation, so even if someone breaks into the database, they'll only get an encrypted string. This feature is there for that extra layer of security. Moving on, we have the spam protection block. The logic here is simple. Since every monitoring instance uses a third-party API, we want to prevent someone from spamming the system with donation requests they have no intention of paying, because the system would still monitor those requests and burn through our API limits. The donation page already has its own visual protection mechanism, but in case someone more advanced tries to launch a spam attack, this gives us an extra layer of defense. Right under that, we have another protection setting. Here you can enter a list of domains that are allowed to create donations. It's fairly easy to bypass, but the option is there if you want it. I'll just add our domain here. Now, let's look at the CoinGecko API key block. I'll just say up front. In 99% of cases, you don't need to touch anything here. CoinGecko is used to fetch token prices when the token isn't a stablecoin. Say you've added some meme coin. You'll see what I mean a bit later when we start adding tokens to the system. So the API key is really only needed if you have a lot of different tokens accepted as payment. And again, I'm specifically talking about non-stable coins. That said, registering an API key takes about a minute if you do need it. Below that, we have the overlay configuration block. This is where we get our overlay connection link. You can set a security token so that not just anyone can connect, set limits on how many simultaneous connections are allowed through that link, and also adjust how many sessions can be connected to the mini app at the same time. Useful, for example, if you want to open it on multiple devices from the same Telegram account. And the last block in this settings menu is remote control. This one's especially useful if you have a Stream Deck. You can map physical buttons to actions like skipping a donation or pausing and unpausing the whole system. All right, that wraps up the global settings. Time to bring our donation page to life. Let's head into the profile settings inside the mini app and enable the page. Reload it in the browser, and now we get a different message saying the system isn't available. And that's because we haven't enabled any networks and payment tokens yet. Let's take care of that next. Let's head over to the Networks and Coins route. Here we see the list of all networks available at the time of recording. By the time you're watching this, there might be even more. All right, I'll set the API key for Tron Grid. With that in place, I can now enable the Tron network along with its native coin. We can also change the number of network confirmations required for a transaction to be considered successful. It's already set to 1, which is the minimum. Reload the page in the browser, and now we see the donation form. At this point, we can already send donations in Tron's native coin. Now we can play around with customizing our page. We can show or hide fields, mark them as required, remove the branding, and also enable the top donators list and the donation history. The history is local, it's unique to each visitor and just shows the last 5 donations. And if the history or top donators are enabled but empty, nothing will be displayed. I'll bring the fields back for now. We'll need them shortly. Beyond that, we can change the avatar, the favicon, and also add a block with social links. As an example, I'll add a YouTube link. You can use one of the preset social media badges or create your own. That's up to you. Saving the changes, and now we can see the social links block on our page. I'll disable our link, and let's head over to the currencies and tokens settings. By default, the system already has US dollars as a currency. Let's add a few more. You can also set minimum and maximum donation amounts in each currency. I'll set the minimum for Euro to 2. Back to the page in the browser, and as you can see, we can now create donations in multiple currencies. There's just one mandatory rule. The currency has to have a trading pair with USDT on Binance. Otherwise, you won't be able to add it. And keep in mind that all currency conversions are based on Binance rates. To add a token, we first need its contract address in the network we want to use, and the token also has to be listed on CoinGecko with a trading price. But that only applies to non-stable coins. So since we're working on testnet right now, and test tokens don't have a market price, we can only add stablecoins for now. Let's add the USDT we got from the faucet earlier. First, I'll copy its contract address, then fill in the form. One really important thing, make sure to check the stablecoin box, otherwise it won't be added. Once it's saved, we refresh the page, and now alongside the native coin, we also have USDT available. Finally, time to make our first donation. Right now, the Wallets tab is empty. Let's fill in the donation form. I'll also add an email here. Just so you know, only donations with an email count toward the top donators leaderboard. Think of it as authentication for your donator. Sending the donation, and now we just need to wait for the network confirmation. Since we're working on testnet, this can take a bit longer than it would on mainnet. As you can see, the form is also locked right now because we already have an active donation. We either need to wait for it to expire or complete the payment. What you're seeing is sped up. In reality, the confirmation took a couple of minutes. And there we go. The donation came through and it's now queued up to play. We also got a Telegram notification confirming the successful donation. And now on the Wallets page, we have a wallet group. Opening the details, and we can see we have a USDT balance on the Tron wallet. We'll come back here a bit later and work with the wallets. Heading over to the statistics page, we can see our donation is already there, and the top donators list isn't empty anymore. We can also drill down into the full stats for our donator. Right now there's only one donation, of course, but you get the idea. Now I want to make a few more donations to show what happens if you send less or more than the requested amount. But first, I'll lower the donation monitoring window. Donations paid below the requested amount only get counted after the window expires, and waiting 30 minutes isn't really an option for us right now. I'll also change the mnemonic phrase generation setting so that it gets sent to our bot instead of being stored in the database. This time, I'll create a donation in a different currency and send more than the requested amount. I'll also open a new tab in incognito so the form isn't locked, and I can send another donation. This time, I'll send less than the requested amount, which means we'll have to wait for the full payment window to expire. While we wait, let's open the Wallets tab. And as you can see, we now have 2 wallet groups. That's expected since the second one was generated for the second order. The system can only monitor one order per wallet in a given network at a time, so since our first wallet was busy, a new one was created. And the seed phrase for the second wallet should have been sent to us as an archive in Telegram. We'll check that in a moment. And there we go. Both donations came through, and the fiat amounts have been recalculated based on what was actually received rather than the originally requested values. Now, let's work with the wallets. As you can see, both groups now have a wallet with a balance. Let's try making a withdrawal from this wallet. To do that, we first need to lock the group so that no new orders get assigned to it during the withdrawal. Once it's locked, the withdraw button becomes available. We enter the amount and hit withdraw. Now, you might be thinking, wait, we just withdrew. But where to? We didn't even enter an address. What actually happened? The truth is, we didn't make any on-chain withdrawal at all. We just updated the values in the database. The actual withdrawal you do manually by taking the seed phrase and importing it into a multi-coin wallet like Trust Wallet, for example. Now, you might say this isn't as convenient as just entering your wallet address on some centralized service and clicking withdraw. And fair enough, there's some truth to that. But on the flip side, we don't have to wait for any withdrawal to process, our funds can't get frozen for some unclear reason, and most importantly, we hold the seed phrases. We have full control. That says it all. And for that level of privacy, doing the withdrawal yourself manually is a small price to pay, don't you think? Let's head over to the Blockchain Explorer. I'll copy our address first to double-check. And as you can see, the balance is still 4 USDT, exactly as it was before. So technically, the system is showing an incorrect balance right now. But no need to worry. The next time an order comes in for this coin on this same wallet, the balance will sync up with the actual on-chain value. We can also request a data export to Telegram with all the balances, as well as an export of all wallets at once. Both files came through. Let me open the balances one, and we can see which wallets have balances on them. But we already know this data doesn't reflect reality anymore, since we never actually withdrew the 3 USDT manually. Now let's open the wallets file. As you can see, the first wallet has its seed phrase stored in the database, but the second one doesn't. That's because we enabled Telegram delivery before it was created. And if you've been paying attention, it's actually right above in the chat history. Let's open it. And there it is, the seed phrase. All right, I think that covers it. Let's move on to connecting our system, in my case to OBS, and play back the donations we've received. As you can see right now, when I press Start or Send a Test, there's a warning saying we need to connect the overlay first. I'm actually recording this video in OBS as well, so let me bring it up on screen and head into the settings route to grab the link. Right now, we don't have an auth token set, which means anyone who knows the overlay URL could connect, though only if you're not connected yourself, since we currently have the limit set to a maximum of 1 concurrent user. I'll generate a token, leave the rest as is, and save. Now let's head over to OBS and add a new source, specifically a browser source. I'll paste the link, save it, and leave everything else as default. I'll move it to the top right corner, head back to the donations page, and hit the test alert button. And just like that, magic. OBS is now connected. Every donation will show up on the video, while I'll only see them through OBS on my end. All right, time to fire up the system. I'll hit Start, and our alerts begin playing. Right now, everything is on the default styling. No media, no sound notification, and the voice readout is off. So let's pause the system and get into customizing the styling. And as you can see, if an alert is playing at the moment we pause, it gets marked as skipped, heading into the alerts route. At the top of the page, there's a setting for the delay between alerts. Really useful if you've got a heavy flow of donations and want a bit of a gap between them, for example, to answer a question. Now let's create our default global style. Here we can change the fonts, colors, display duration, animation type, upload our own media. Basically full customization. I'll grab one of the existing media files as an example, remove the ticker, and send a test to preview it. Awesome! I'll save the changes, and now let's make another donation. While I send the donation, let me explain what the expected behavior is here. We currently have another donation in the queue from earlier, and even though we've already updated our default alert style, that earlier donation will still be played with the previous style. Just so you understand how this works going forward, and don't get confused later about why one style was set, but a different one was actually shown. The alert style is locked in at the moment the alert arrives. The same logic applies to text-to-speech, even though we haven't gotten to it yet. The donation came through. Let's unpause the system, and as you can see, the older alert is shown with the old settings. I'll skip it. And the donation that just came in uses the style we configured. Let's head back to the alerts configuration route and create a variant alert. We need to give it a name, choose which currency it applies to, and set the minimum amount that triggers it. I'll make a few small tweaks, skip adding media files, and save. Back to the donations page, I'll create a new donation. Make sure to pick USD as the currency, since that's what we set the alert up for, and the donation amount needs to be 5 USD or higher. Let me pay it and wait for confirmation. The system isn't paused right now, so the alert will play the moment it comes through. Beautiful! The variant style was applied to the donation. You can create as many variants as you need. Back to the alerts configuration route. Let's set up a global rule for a currency. What does this mean? It means that if this rule is in place, any donation below the set amount won't be shown in the overlay, so it won't reach OBS, but you'll still see it in your donations list with the filtered status. With that rule in place, let's head back to the donations page. Now, whenever the donator picks the currency we just added the rule for, they'll see this hint right next to the Submit button. That way, if they send a donation below the threshold, they'll understand up front why it wasn't displayed. All right, let's create a donation below the threshold, and this time we'll send it in the native coin, TRX. Paying it and we wait. There it is. The donation came through with the filtered status. It wasn't played on stream, but it's still in the donations list. I also want to demonstrate what happens if OBS loses connection with our system for any reason. It automatically pauses, so donations don't fly into the void. On top of that, we get a corresponding notification in Telegram. The last settings block in the alerts route is the censorship system. I'll enable it and turn on the filters for links, emails, and spam characters. I'll also add one censored word. Now I'll create a donation with the banned word in the nickname and an email in the message. Let's create it and pay. The donation came through, and as you can see, censorship has been applied to the alert. In the dashboard, the censored words are also replaced with censorship badges. Let me head back into the settings and enable showing censorship in the admin panel. That way, we'll see the original words in the alerts list, while the viewer will still see them censored. Now all that's left is enabling the text-to-speech system. Let's head into the Google TTS route. And as you can see, we need to upload a configuration file. How to get one is covered in the documentation. It's pretty straightforward. You create a service account and generate a key. I already have the file ready, so I'll just add it and upload. Now we can enable and configure the text-to-speech. Once it's enabled, the voices get loaded in. Let's preview the first one in the list.
Hello, this is a test of the text-to-speech system.
Let's pick another one and preview it the same way.
Hello, this is a test of the text-to-speech system.
We can also tweak the parameters. For example, let's change the speed.
Hello, this is a test of the text-to-speech system.
Let me reset everything back to defaults and save. Now let's check if the text-to-speech actually works. I'll create another donation, and at the end of the message, I'll add the censored word. It shouldn't be read out loud. While we wait for the confirmation, I forgot to mention, Google's text-to-speech gives you 1 million characters per month for WaveNet voices and 4 million for standard voices, completely free. That's more than enough with plenty of headroom.
Nexis, $1.62. Great stream today, keep it up.
Awesome. Everything works perfectly. And our censored word wasn't spoken either, just as it should be. Oh, right. Since we didn't have any donations at the start, I never actually showed you what the top donators list and the donation history look like. If you notice your donation didn't show up in the top right after sending it, that's expected behavior. The top donators list refreshes every 10 to 15 minutes, and the donation history is local. Each visitor sees their own. All right, time to wrap things up. We've covered pretty much all of the app's functionality and seen how everything works in action. If you're looking for a solution like this, get in touch with us. All the links are in the description below. We also offer a live demo, so you can try the system out for yourself. Thanks for watching, and I'd really appreciate it if you'd drop a like. Catch you in the next alerts video when there's something major added. See you!